By the time we closed the fourth deal at Allure X, the atmosphere in the office was electric. We had been grinding for months, often unnoticed, overshadowed by politics and power plays. But that day was different. As I stepped through the door, the room erupted into applause. Devon, the CEO, had arranged a surprise lunch to celebrate. Faces I barely recognised were smiling, cheering, clapping. For years I had lived in the shadows, underestimated, sidelined, quietly working while others took credit. But now I was seen. Real appreciation filled the room. No hidden agendas, no fake smiles. It hit me hard. I felt tears prick at the corners of my eyes. Then my phone buzzed, an email notification. The subject line was short and electrifying. Interview request, Tech Today podcast. My hands trembled. This wasn't just another interview, this was the industry's spotlight. Thousands would hear my story. The chance to speak, to finally use my voice was terrifying but exhilarating. I swallowed my fear and said yes. A week later, I found myself in a sleek studio perched high above the city skyline. The glass windows stretched from floor to ceiling, a panoramic view of the bustling world below. The host, a well-known journalist in the tech space, greeted me with a warm smile. Welcome, Jen Carter. You've been called the hidden force, behind Eminem's biggest tech wins. Now you're leading innovation at Allure X. How does that feel? I closed my eyes for a moment, gathering strength. It feels surreal, I whispered, then lifted my chin. The truth poured out. How people like me, the quiet architects of success, were often ignored, replaced by flashy insiders. I didn't name names, Brett, Jordan. I didn't have to. The industry already knew the story. I shared how I had built systems that saved millions, only to be discarded like yesterday's news. The host leaned closer, voice gentle but probing. Did you see this coming? I did, I said honestly. But I stayed because I believed in the work, spoke for all the unheard, the invisible. This was no longer just my story. It was theirs too. Days after the podcast aired, my phone buzzed with a new message from Sasha, a trusted colleague. You need to see this. A leaked email from Eminem hit the headlines. Mason, the insider, who had taken over my project, had bungled it spectacularly. He rewrote code he barely understood, leaving a massive security hole in the system. Sensitive data from multiple vendors was now exposed. Headlines screamed, Eminem security breach, linked to faulty code. I read it twice, stomach twisting. This wasn't just a PR nightmare. It was a legal disaster waiting to happen. Sasha messaged again. People are panicking. Vendors might sue. I thought back to that meeting, the one where I was publicly humiliated and pushed out. Not a single person had defended me. Now the very cracks they ignored were threatening to bring the whole company down. I didn't gloat. But I understood something bitter and true. This disaster began the day they let nepotism and ego replace real skill. It was late when the call came. Eminem's top lawyer, her voice calm but urgent. We need your help. I sat on my balcony, city lights twinkling around me, disbelief washing over me. Just months ago they acted like I was disposable. Now they were at my door asking for aid. The next day I walked into a high-rise boardroom. My lawyer and Devon flanked me. Across the glossy table, Eminem's counsel avoided eye contact, flipping through papers nervously. We agree to your licensing terms, she said finally. $2 million up front plus royalties. I said nothing, letting the weight of her words sink in. And, she added, voice tight, a formal public apology. I raised an eyebrow. She nodded. The truth would be acknowledged at last. A draft slid across the table. I scanned the words. We acknowledge Miss Carter's independent development. My heart skipped. They had tried to erase me, but now they were forced to recognize me. I signed. The bridge they'd tried to burn had become my platform. That night, the press release went live. My name, my work, officially recognized. I read it again and again under the dim glow of my desk lamp. This was more than a win. It was validation, long overdue. The next morning, the industry buzzed. Social media exploded. People remembered. They connected the dots. The quiet coder behind the curtain was now centre stage. Eminem's leadership remained silent publicly, but behind closed doors, chaos reigned. Calls for accountability echoed through boardrooms. The system that protected incompetence and nepotism was crumbling. I exhaled, no longer burdened by the weight of their lies. Within days, the dominoes toppled. Brett West announced he was stepping down. Jordan, my old manager, quietly retired. Mason vanished, his LinkedIn and Twitter wiped clean. Carla Martinez, the founder who once seemed untouchable, stepped back citing health reasons. Rumours said the board had forced their hand. Sasha sent me a shaky video. Jordan, head down, dropping his badge into a tray at Eminem headquarters before walking out for the last time. I watched it twice. The man who had smirked as I packed my... Things now looked defeated, broken. I felt no satisfaction, just closure. The industry had finally seen what happens when true talent is ignored and politics reign. I had no need for revenge. The truth was enough. At Allure X, the energy was completely different. Devon wasn't just a boss, he was a partner. He gave me equity, something Eminem never would have considered. More importantly, he backed my vision. We launched the Phoenix program, a mentorship initiative for mid-career professionals pushed out by bias and politics, people like me. My first mentee, Marisol, was a quiet powerhouse, overlooked for younger hires, clutching a folder of ideas. I saw my own past in her eyes. Weeks later, she developed a new method to optimize shipping data, cutting overhead by 15%. We piloted it. It worked flawlessly. In our next meeting, the team applauded her. No one stole credit. No one dismissed her. This was the future we were building, where talent was nurtured, not suffocated. Months later, I stood on the red carpet at TEDx, nerves buzzing. My talk, they called me redundant, was my truth laid bare. I told the story of being pushed aside, the humiliating Slack messages, the silence in the room when I was fired. But I also spoke about hope, about rebuilding, finding purpose after the fall. The audience was silent, hanging on every word. When I finished, the applause was thunderous. The video went viral within 48 hours. Messages flooded in from people who'd felt invisible too. One voicemail stood out. Emma, a former teammate who had left Eminem, was crying. "Your talk changed. Everything. I'm applying to Allure X." The circle was closing. With Emma now on board, we charged forward. PulseFlow, our logistics platform, was ready for its biggest leap yet. I had held back a critical feature, an advanced predictive model that could detect risks before they happened. At Eminem, I didn't trust them with it. Here, I was ready. PulseFlow 2.0 launched. Clients reported a 35% efficiency boost within days. Social media buzzed. Trade press called it revolutionary. A journalist asked, "Do you feel vindicated by Eminem's downfall?" I paused, then answered simply, "No, I feel free." That was the truth. It wasn't about proving them wrong anymore. It was about proving what was possible. We capped the quarter with a rooftop party at Allure X's new office. The city lights shimmered around us. Music played, laughter filled the air. Sasha, Emma, Marisol and the rest of the team stood beside me, glasses raised high. This wasn't just a company, it was a second chance. A reporter approached, camera rolling. "Any thoughts on Eminem?" I shook my head. "Let's talk about what's next." They had tried to burn my bridge. Instead, I had used the ashes to build something better.